Started. We're started now.
Okay, I would like to call the BIA Advisory Committee meeting to order. Members of the public are advised that our meetings are webcast live by the City of Hamilton and temporarily archived on the city's website. As well, a reminder that all electronic devices are to be switched to a non-audible function during the committee meeting. I will do roll call now. Jennifer Mayton, Lancaster. Matter? Is she here?
Present.
Oh, okay.
Yes, present.
Rachel Berthwaite.
Morning.
Good morning. Christina Geisler.
Good morning.
Carrie Jarvie.
Good morning.
Good morning. Lisa Anderson.
Lisa's not going to be with us this morning. She sent her regrets.
Thank you. Susie Berthwaite.
Right here.
Thank you. Michael Seibin. Don't see him. Heidi Vanderkwal.
Here, good morning.
Good morning. Bender Chung. Not here. Emily Burton.
Here.
Thank you. Susan Penny.
I haven't seen Susan this morning.
Okay. Tracy McKinnon.
Good morning here.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, changes to the agenda. Madam Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
No, Madam Chair, there are no changes to the agenda.
Good. May I have a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda?
Moved by Tracy, seconded by Heidi.
Thank you. Is there anyone opposed? I don't see any, and it's carried. Declaration of interest. Are there any declaration of interest? I don't see any, and we move on. Approval of the minutes of previous meeting, March 23rd, 2021 minutes. May I have a mover and a seconder to approve the minutes of the March 23rd, 2021 meeting as presented?
Moved by Susie, seconded by Carrie.
Thank you. And is there anyone that opposes it? I don't see any, and it's carried. Staff presentation, 9.1, Tourism Hamilton update. Carrie Brooks Jr., Director of Tourism and Culture, is here with a verbal update on Tourism Hamilton. Welcome. We want good news.
Thank you very much for your warm welcome, Chair. Angela, are we ready to roll?
Absolutely. You can share your screen if you'd like, Carrie.
Sure, I can do this again. There we go. All right.
Perfect.
So thank you very much for inviting me to your meeting. I'm here to provide an overview of Tourism Hamilton's marketing, how our marketing approach and our content has changed during COVID, share some of our analytics and what we've learned over the last few months, and share how we're moving forward. And lastly, I have some suggestions on how Tourism Hamilton and BIAs can work together moving forward. Let me move my slide there. So in a nutshell, Tourism Hamilton's mandate is to increase the economic impact of tourism in Hamilton. And we do that by attracting visitors to Hamilton and encouraging them to spend their money here. Out-of-town visitors bring new money into the community. Now, while the recirculating of money within Hamilton is still vital to small business and it's vital to jobs, it's through the injection of new money that we actually increase Hamilton's prosperity. So for tourism, it's all about new dollars in the community. Tourism Hamilton has two distinct but related areas of focus. The first is attraction of business visitors through our tourism sales efforts, and secondly, the attraction of leisure visitors through marketing tourism products and our visitor services. Now, our sales team promotes Hamilton as a place to host meetings, conventions, sports events like Grey Cup, cultural events like the Junos. Our market for that business is national, and our focus is to attract these types of events and keep them coming back to Hamilton on a regular basis. And ideally, we contract for multiple years at a time. These business visitors tend to stay overnight, and of all the travelers, they are the ones that spend the most money. So attraction of this market is Tourism Hamilton's primary focus. Now, the definition of a tourist is a visitor who travels a distance of more than 40 kilometers to their destination. And this definition supports the idea that it's tourists who bring new money into the community. Hamilton's leisure market tends to be day trippers, and we draw from a regional market and mostly from the GTA for these types of visitors who come to Hamilton for the day. The focus of Tourism Hamilton's marketing efforts is to attract this leisure market, and the tools that we use primarily are digital, and they're the Tourism Hamilton website, our social media channels, and our digital e-newsletters. And the leisure market attraction is the secondary focus for Tourism Hamilton. Now, when one of the key measures to combat the pandemic has been to stop traveling and to tell people to stay home, it's no surprise that the tourism and hospitality sectors around the world have been extremely hard hit by COVID. And locally, that message came through strongly as part of the Mayor's Task Force on Economic Recovery. Oh, what have I done? Okay, back to this. Angela, what do you suggest I've done?
Your slide is stuck, is that correct?
Yes.
Oh,
How about I stop sharing?
there we go.
And it's like the
Or I
equivalent
can-
of kicking it when it doesn't work, right?
Okay.
Share again.
If
All
that doesn't
right.
work-
I think we're back in business. If it will just move,
Oh,
there.
we go.
Okay. Thank you all. You didn't quite see my blood pressure rise as quickly as it did. So the key dilemma within tourism marketing is that the efforts to attract tourists is contrary to the spirit of the message of stay home and stay safe. Now, in the early days of COVID, Tourism Hamilton actually stopped all tourism marketing, and the message and our website redirected all visitors to the city's website and to the COVID safety messaging. And as the restrictions slowly eased, and with the Emergency Operations Committee's approval, Tourism Hamilton revised its content, our text, as well as our images, and we reopened channels and we started providing content again. But the content and the marketing approach continues to be revisited regularly and is constantly responding to every change in the provincial restrictions and the public health messages. Now, I realize you and your business members are living in this same one step forward, two steps back environment too. And an example that involves, all the BIAs is that we were developing a patio guide to complement the approval for the outdoor dining initiative. And as you all know, outdoor dining has since been revoked and the guide is now on hold. We have our fingers crossed that we will be able to reintroduce that program in May, but we will see. Now, on the business side, the sales team was able to successfully rebook 88 events that otherwise would have been canceled. And by rebooking those events, we were able to retain that business for Hamilton in the future. Now, some events and all the necessary venues, hotel rooms, and the required city services have actually been rebooked multiple times. I think there's one conference that was canceled in the very early days of COVID. It was rebooked optimistically for a couple of months later. COVID was still going on. That conference was canceled again, and it was rebooked 2 more times in an effort to keep that that convention going and keep it in Hamilton. Now, as usual, our bidding for future years' events is still ongoing as the industry works with about a 10-year outlook for major events. So we're actually talking about events that could happen in Hamilton in 2030. Now, Tourism Hamilton launched the Local Love campaign as a COVID response in October of last year. And the campaign was rolled out on social media, our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and within Tourism Hamilton's e-newsletter. And this campaign continues today. One of the focuses of the campaign is business roll-ups, such as the top places to have pizza, National Beer Day, National Wine Drinking Day, Black History Month, Hamilton's Best Brews. And the content reinforces the Local Love page on the Tourism Hamilton website and also includes an aspect of storytelling so people can share their favorite memory of Hamilton, for example. The analytics from October to March 12th, we have had over 20,000 likes, over 800,000 impressions. That's the number of times the content has been displayed. And there has been just under 300 posts under the 2 hashtags as part of that campaign. Now, our audience, I'm too click happy. Our audience for this campaign is mainly millennials who consume information via digital channels, and they gain inspiration from digital means. And we know a lot about this market segment for Hamilton. This market is not oriented to radio and television. Millennials and Gen X are the most active of everybody online. Social platforms, the Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube provide excellent streams to communicate with these markets. And they also use social media as an inspiration to purchase things. And 33% of this market report that they buy something after they have seen it on social media recently. We also know that our e-newsletter and all our e-communications are another popular channel with this market, and that it is also linked to the purchasing behavior of these users. Now, our Love Local campaign is a logical one for the BIAs to jump on, and some of you already have. And I encourage you to use the hashtags of the campaign, retweet, share, and leverage this campaign to reach your audiences and amplify its effectiveness here in Hamilton. Now, we know that consumer confidence is an issue for all businesses. And people are wondering, is it safe to order takeout? How are retailers keeping me safe once I walk through their doors? And these are among the many questions that are dominating consumer decisions in these COVID days. And Tourism Hamilton, in collaboration with Economic Development and Public Health, produced a series of 5 videos to assist small business through COVID recovery, to instill confidence in our residents to shop, dine, and seek out local services, and lastly, to reinforce the safety measures set out by public health. So the 5 videos featured the Syrian restaurant Toma. That was the takeout video. Pickwick's bookstore was the retail example. Caro was used to talk about the safety of indoor dining when that was still allowed. Eleanor was a personal service oriented video. And lastly, the attractions were covered off by a video featuring the Art Gallery of Hamilton. Now, we produced these videos actually in late 2020 in record time because the idea was to support the seasonal shopping season. And all the videos had to be shelved because we went into lockdown. They were finally being able to release starting February 24th. So between February and kind of mid-March, we did release all 5. But now, given the current lockdown, only the one on takeout is still valid. And all the videos are on the city's YouTube channel and on the COVID concierge page. But at this moment, we have stopped featuring them in our social media marketing. Now, digital guides is another thing that I know is of interest to the BIAs, and we developed these guides really a few years ago, but they were updated and expanded as part of the Local Love campaign. And the expanded content was to increase the featuring of restaurants and small businesses in these neighborhoods. But frankly, we're finding that given the fluid situation with businesses opening and closing and hours changing, that the content of these guides is really challenging to keep current. Now, the e-newsletter called Hamilton Insider was developed as part of our strategic shift from print to digital marketing. And today we have over 7,100 engaged subscribers. Now, the most recent edition, the March edition, included the reoccurring A Perfect Day in Hamilton blog, and it featured the sisters behind Black-owned Hammont. They shared their example of a perfect day and what they love to eat, see, and do in their hometown. The issue also included a Local Love feature highlighting the neighborhood guides with the message of eat, see, shop, repeat. And to spark some engagement, there was also a piece of what are you most looking forward to? And it invited readers to share what they love about Hamilton, from their favorite memory to where they are looking forward to visiting again. Now, the newsletter moved from being a lure piece to encourage people to come to Hamilton to its current focus, which is on future travel planning and telling stories about Hamilton. Now, our April edition has been placed on hold given the restrictions, and the May content is up in the air as we await more direction from the province. And this is another area where, I would encourage you to subscribe on our website, encourage your members to subscribe to the newsletter, and certainly to share content that we can feature in future issues. Now, we also introduced e-welcomes for the meetings and convention visitors prior to COVID. And of course, there are no meetings and conventions at this time. So again, as part of our COVID response, this program was then expanded in 2020 to specifically target film production companies who are still coming to Hamilton and doing business here. And these e-welcome electronic newsletters point these temporary workers in Hamilton where to eat, where to shop while they are here in Hamilton doing film production. And they have been extremely well received by that industry. Now, Hometown Hub was a collaborative effort that the Planning and Economic Development Department entered into with Hamilton Rising when the pandemic began last March. And Tourism Hamilton continues to support and promote this website and the featuring of Hamilton businesses. Now, Hamilton Hub is an integral part of our Local Love campaign, as it's a one-shop directory to small businesses. And I know the BIAs have been a really important part in encouraging businesses to participate in the hub. Now, as I mentioned, film production is one of the very few sectors that has been permitted to continue in Ontario through the lockdowns. And film production continues to bring significant dollars to Hamilton. And I know that the BIAs are frequent locations for shooting, and that your facilitation of shooting in your areas has been a critical part of Hamilton's success as a preferred city for filming. And Q1 of 2021, the film office had a record number of film permits. So the busiest Q1 ever in Hamilton for film permitting. And that's just a strong indication about how much activity is happening here in the city. We also know that there's a lot of public interest in filming. Now, we don't want to encourage the public to be onlookers during production. That just disrupts the filming. But we do want to feature the locations after the fact. And new film content and blogs such as the film locations of the Umbrella Academy and famous filming locations in Hamilton have been proven very, very popular on our website, particularly in these days when you can enjoy those blogs and imagine the films from the safety of your couch. Now, from the culture side of our tourism and culture portfolio, the division provides community programs and events, and often in partnership with other organizers. While the Victoria Day fireworks and the holiday train programs were canceled, holiday tree lighting and winterfest were delivered, but in shifted formats. And thanks to Downtown BIA for the creative pivot in December around that programming. And as you're aware, Council approved an enhancement to the Winterfest budget to add programming in BIAs as a direct measure to increase foot traffic during the winter. Now, because of restrictions, we had to roll this Winter Tracks program back, but this program will shift to when it's permitted, and we have our fingers crossed that it will be this summer. So we will rebrand it either as spring tracks or summer tracks, and the stations that were built will be redeployed to the BIAs when we are able to relaunch that program and encourage people to visit their local BIA and shop and dine there. So still to come. I mean, and on the slide is a list of other tactics that we are using to encourage engagement and maintain relevancy with our tourism market. And the purpose of social media is to present followers with information that's both relevant and of interest to them. And if users are not engaged in the content, then the social media channels will not continue to present that type of content to them. And then we lose them as an opportunity. And Hamilton becomes irrelevant in their personal social media feed. We also use our website and our channels to refer visitors to places where ultimately they can spend money, either online or eventually on site. And external links exist throughout the Tourism Hamilton website and tags on our social media channels to actively link visitors to partner websites and their social media channels. So what do the analytics tell us about our visitors, and what do we do about that? So tourismhamilton.ca is our standalone tourism website. It is separate from the city site. And we do extensive tracking of the use of our content, and we use that data to inform our decisions about what we promote in the future and to select the content that is most likely to encourage engagement. The majority of the content that is being searched or accessed now is related to the outdoors. And this trend crosses all our channels and is regardless of what we are promoting on our website, on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, people want information about the outdoors. And currently the GTA market is most interested in waterfalls, cycling, hiking, and in the winter are about outdoor skating rinks. Now, our marketing is very effective, and we had very strong results in 2020. Traffic to our website is driven by either direct search, somebody typed in Google Hamilton, or pushed through paid ads. Now, we actually ceased all paid ads and media and the pushing out of regional marketing as of last October. So we are no longer doing paid advertising, and this is in part of our response to COVID. And 2021 traffic has decreased somewhat because of that. But external referrals are key to providing potential sales to small business, and we continue to provide content that is driving referrals. Growing subscribers offers us an opportunity to tell the Hamilton story, to offer future trip planning advice, to again trigger referrals for dollar spending, and we want to stay current in people's minds. We also have strong social media performance, and the top website visitors are from the GTA. We certainly know that from the data, but interestingly enough, the top followers on social media are Hamilton residents. It's a very interesting difference. So our social media content has to balance both audience as we speak very much to a local audience during COVID, but we need to continue to nurture and keep our GTA audience as they will be critical to longer term economic recovery. And one day soon, fingers crossed, we will return to an environment where we can attract these day trippers again and their money to Hamilton. So in January and February, we have been running a mini campaign to add subscribers to our e-newsletter. And this is for short-term engagement, but we're playing the long game here of nurturing future visitors. And our content is proving to be very successful. The newsletter has an above average click-through rate, which means people are looking at more than one page, and an above average unsubscribe rate. People are staying as subscribers. And we attribute this to our engaging content and the high quality images. But in the end, we are offering content that subscribers want. Now, 2021 high season, we're moving into that, and there's so many unknowns and many changing restrictions that are having an impact on our planning and rollout, and no doubt on your own planning and rollout as well. And on the slide are just some of the questions that we are grappling with on a daily basis as we can continue to adjust and pivot our marketing and our activities. Now we're going to continue to engage the leisure market, so when they are ready to travel, they're going to choose to come to Hamilton. There is some tourism light at the end of the COVID tunnel, and these are the major events that are confirmed and will have a direct impact on the city's economic recovery. And City Council has been highly supportive of approving and accommodating the shifts to keep this business in Hamilton. And another thing that's not on the slide is that the placemaking pilot grant program just closed for the first intake of applications, and there are 29 projects that are proposed across the city. So it will be very interesting to see that program roll into implementation as well. So while effective marketing helps, more marketing is not the answer to economic recovery. And according to our sentiment tracking around COVID-19, around Hamilton's traveling for shopping and traveling, 69% of the sentiment is negative. So the bottom line of research, both locally, provincially, and nationally, is that until travelers feel safe and that they have been vaccinated, they are choosing to stay close to home. Now, Tourism Hamilton is actively promoting small business, and there are some easy and very cost-effective ways that BIAs and Tourism Hamilton can work together to do that even more effectively. So I'm encouraging you to share our posts, retweet and repost so that we reach more of a local audience through you. Give us more content. Share stories of your BIA with us. Share images. We are always looking for new high quality images and the profiles of new businesses. And it improves the search engine optimization if you link to our website. And we have linked to all of yours to help push your SEO numbers as well. Now we're going to all continue to operate in a fluid situation and navigate that balance of mixed messages, you know, the stay at home versus shop local. Stay at home, but get out there and enjoy Hamilton's outdoors to the best of our ability. We need to have the restrictions lifted and for people to feel safe and have trust and confidence before they will travel, that they will eat indoors, or that they are being willing to gather in crowds. And all of these are behaviors that we just took for granted in a pre-COVID world and in a tourism environment. And I know all of us are looking forward to that day when that again is our normal. So that concludes my presentation. I am happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Carrie. That was very, very wholesome presentation. We probably have a lot of questions. So anybody want to ask any question? Rachel.
Thank you, Carrie. That was really informative. I do have a few questions. The first one is more of a request, and that's just we would love to share the posts, especially when they're of our businesses in our areas, but we're not getting tagged. So please, can you ensure that whenever a business in a BIA is posted on social media, that the BIA is tagged, and also that the business is tagged, because I'm also noticing that that's being missed. So for example, there was a Hello Baked one with a really nice sugar cookie, but the business wasn't tagged at all, and neither was the BIA. So that's my one request. And then the second is also that you guys are more than welcome to use any of our content off our social media. It's free game, so please feel free to use away, so to speak.
Okay.
And then my next question was just the neighborhood guides that you mentioned on the website. Are they blogs or are they posts? Like, how do we make changes? Like, are changes allowable? I mean, for example, on the one for the East End, you list coffee shops and treats, have lovely photos of 541 Eatery and Exchange from Barton Street, but it's not even listed. So how do we fix that?
Good question, and that's I don't know the details of the back of house on that. I will ask staff to clarify that and get that back to Julia, and she can distribute the best way. I know that the guides are all posted as separate guides on the Tourism Hamilton website, and we are finding it very challenging to keep them up to date. I do know that it's not possible for the BIAs to have access to the back of house of the website to make those changes themselves. So it would have to be some mechanism where you're providing information to staff and the changes are made in-house.
Thank you, Rachel. Anybody else? Can I ask, I'd like to ask there's one, Susie.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi.
I just wanted to thank you. You guys reposted one of our contests that we're running right now. I think, you know, I think the disconnect that I've sort of seen here in my years is that we post something, you guys don't often pick it up, and we do have a lot of content. So I think that's the frustration, is that we're constantly every day putting content out, but it's like very rarely that Tourism Hamilton actually retweets that. So it just, especially right now with COVID, if you guys could put more of a focus on that, I think all of us would really appreciate it. Because it goes a long way, especially when we're trying to drive business to our, you know, struggling businesses right now. So it really means a lot more than normal right now. So I do appreciate it was retweeted, because it does help boost our contests. So the more of those kind of things, especially with the projects that we're trying to do right now to overcome COVID, if that could be more of a focus, we would all really, really appreciate that.
Okay, I'll take that back. Thanks. So one thing to note is that, I mean, our social media plans are planned weeks, if not months in advance. So, I mean, it looks very spontaneous every day, but there's actually a plan behind all that content and larger objectives as to what we are pushing out. And we do adjust the content based on the analytics and what is being picked up and what is not being picked up. And some of them are deliberate choices as well. I mean, you may have noticed we are no longer promoting waterfalls. And haven't for, probably close to a year now, because we don't want to encourage more people attending our waterfalls, particularly during COVID, when crowding is such an issue. But noted, I'll take that back.
I'll have a question. I'll turn the chair to someone, maybe Susie, but I wanted to ask you, talking about the waterfalls you just mentioned, most of the inquiries are about waterfall, hiking, biking. Now we know that the city has put a 2-hour limit and you have to book to go to a waterfall now. So have you seen any negative posts, blogs about that issue? Even people from Hamilton. Because I've had a few people emailing me saying, what, to go to my own waterfalls, I have to book it and it's only 2 hours at a time? Have you seen any negative responses?
And through the chair, that's an excellent question. And yes, we do get a lot of pushback from both residents and visitors. They see it as a very much a disconnect, that the enforcement and the barriers we put up for visitation are contrary to our tourism objectives, is to bring people here. We also grapple with the fact that a visit to a waterfall or to hike on our trails or cycle on our trails does not produce any spending. And someone can come and have a wonderful day hiking our trails and not spend a dollar while they're here in Hamilton. And we want them to spend money. We want them to go out to lunch. We want them to go into small business and buy stuff. We want them to go to a show. So it's how to package and encourage these outdoor experiences with a sale to increase some economic activity for these visitors. Once they come back to Hamilton, that benefits everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for that. It's so important to bring people outdoors, and yet we want them to spend money, and yet we have a limit how long they can stay out. So it is very complicated matter.
It is.
So,
yes.
Okay, thank you for that. Tracy, I see one more, Tracy.
Yeah. Hi, Carrie. So I'm kind of new on the scene, so I just excuse my ignorance. I have a bunch of questions, so hopefully you can help clear things up for me. Thank you for coming, by the way. I think this is a big step for BIAs in tourism. I'm just wondering, first of all, kind of what your thoughts are on BIAs. Do you think we do local tourism? Do you think we have any experience? Do you think we have any value to add here?
Through the chair, I think local BIAs are really important, and you do very good work in defining shopping districts. A challenge that the tourism industry has in promoting BIAs is that a BIA boundary and name label does not often match a tourist's perception of an area, which is why we've gone with neighborhood guides rather than the 13 BIAs. A BIA doesn't mean anything to a visitor. And so there is that disconnect. However, the efforts that BIAs put forward in helping to define a place and supporting small business is really important. You're not tourism attractions on your own, but you are an important complement to add to a person's itinerary once we attract them to Hamilton. And that's why we've done the neighborhood guides and we've done these e-welcomes. So when we bring, in normal times, when we bring a convention to the Stony Creek area, we are complementing them with a e-guide that is featuring the Stony Creek area. So we are encouraging those meetings and conventions visitors to get out of their hotel, get out of their meeting room, and shop and dine in that area where we've attracted them to.
Through you, Chair, I have a bunch of questions follow up on that. Okay, that maybe actually helps me explain quite a bit. So I know as a BIA, we do have a defined area, but I know particularly for I look after a couple BIAs, and any BIA I've ever worked with, BIA is not a tourism name, but I know that a lot of us now, especially in the pandemic, and it's kind of odd to hear some comments, but how we've been linking things like I know, for example, in Westdale, we've been promoting hiking, biking, kayaking, canoeing, all that's here. And while you're here, come for lunch. So I find it odd that it appears that maybe, again, I'm new, so I don't know all the workings, but just hearing you, it seems to be that the BIA kind of has a wall around it for some reason.
Can I
We're
call
not
you
quite
later?
tourist.
I'm in a meeting.
Oh, sorry. Okay, thank you, Angela. Um, So I'm just wondering, like I was hoping to hear that we could be more partners here because we are actively doing local tourism. We are attracting people that are down the street because, right now we can attract the 40-kilometer over people. So we are attracting the local person. Businesses, we still have to pay the bills. We still have to feed our families. We still have to pay staff. So there's a lot of economic activity within BIAs and a lot of tourism we do. And I was hoping to hear from you today that, great, the BIAs, how could we work together? We have all these websites, social media. Why aren't we being tagged? I just find that kind of really odd. And why once a month there's one business feature? I don't know. I look at other organizations like Tourism Burlington, or they've formed Team Burlington. So they're actively working with the BIs and the business community because there's so much economic activity that can happen. It doesn't just have to be someone coming from 40 kilometers to spend money. So I really hope that we can work more together and encourage local people to support local. And I never really heard of your local campaign until I requested some help back in the fall after it was already running. So, and I find it odd that regional tourism has a hashtag show some local love. They're doing your thing, you're doing local, this local. So I just find it a big disconnect, and I really hope we can work together for the betterment of all business and all tourism. And I hope maybe soon the Tourism Hamilton might recognize the value that BIAs do for local tourism and do daily. We don't really have the luxury to shut down and say, sorry, COVID, like we have to keep attracting the local tourism. And anybody coming to me, anybody coming to a different neighborhood and spending money, and that's a tourist to me. And you did mention earlier about a patio guide in Westdale. I think we have the largest patios in the city. I'd never heard of it or never heard anything. Last year we got together and had a professional company photograph and do a number of videos. We have hundreds of high-res images. Happy to share that with you. You can take any images. I'm sure everybody would agree on any of our social media sites. So I just hope to hear more connection and more support for local.
So through the chair, there's lots of questions and comments to unpack there. It's important to to acknowledge and work with the separate mandates we have. Tourism Hamilton's mandate is to attract out-of-town people, to bring them to Hamilton and to bring new money into Hamilton. That is our primary focus. The concept of local tourism is actually an oxymoron. Someone who lives in Hamilton and spends their money in Hamilton is not a tourist. That is not the activity that Tourism Hamilton is in the business of promoting. I totally agree it's important. And in a COVID time, it's absolutely critical that that money is recirculating within Hamilton, and that local spending is something that we both are supporting, and it's critical. But that's the key difference. BIAs are very much encouraging that recirculation of dollars within Hamilton, as well as bringing in some new dollars, where the purpose of tourism is to bring in visitors and new dollars. So we have some overlap, but we do have very different mandates and very different markets as our primary focus.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Pauls, you're muted right now. My apologies.
Sorry, Tracy, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Councillor. Yeah, I was just hoping, though, I understand that, yes, we do have different mandates, but actually, I know for both my BIAs, I have actively been pursuing tourists greater than 40 kilometers prior to COVID. But now we have a number of events that attract people from 100 plus kilometers. And especially with the university beside us, clearly we have a lot of business and, I don't know, healthcare business, you might call it, travel that we try to attract. But I was just hoping to hear that in the middle of COVID, when no one can travel and you're supposed to stay local, I was just really hoping to hear some support for local and maybe a switching of the mandate. I've read the document that Tourism Hamilton has, that clearly the focus is out of town, bringing it in, but we're now a year into COVID. It's going to continue for several more months, maybe another year, who knows? And I was just
Absolutely.
really hoping that local would just come and our local tourism would help us. Yeah.
We have the Love Local campaign that has been in place since October. It is the primary campaign that we are running with at this point, and it costs BIAs nothing to help leverage that campaign and to jump on board and amplify that campaign and its current brand with all of the audiences that you already have worked so hard to attract. And together, through that existing campaign, we can further shop local, do local, and even in a shutdown situation, the buy local from the safety of your couch through promoting the hometown hub. So we are very much in the promotion of local during COVID, and there are lots of opportunities for us to maximize that initiative together.
Okay, Tracy, you're over 5 minutes, so we're going to move on. Anybody else before we move on?
So Susan looks like she'd like to have a.
Yeah, Susan.
Just really quickly, you mentioned the fact that your social media editorial calendar is planned months in advance. You know, sometimes that doesn't align with us because we're a little bit short-term planning, just the nature of our lack of resources, that we're kind of, you know, going from one thing to another. But we do have some big things that we do annually or that we might know is coming up. And I'm just wondering if there's a way that we can set up some kind of a system. And I don't know, you know, the frequency of that, but a form from you that would allow us to have some early input of what's coming up in our areas. So for instance, we're a huge bridal destination. We have 3 bridal stores, 2 tea houses. We've got a custom jeweler. It'd be nice to be able to sort of have a forum where we can talk about what are some of the things that might attract people from that 40 plus kilometers to our area that we can feed you as content story ideas. You know, we're big on the hiking trails up here. So if we can kind of identify aligned with your planning cycle, some of the things, we do a big scarecrow walk every year. We know that last year during COVID, it did bring people from out of town. Most of our followers are local just because that's kind of the environment that we're working in on a day-to-day basis. And we don't have a lot of reach farther than that. But those are the kinds of events that might bring people that are more aligned with your mandate. So I'm just wondering how we can sort of set up a system where we can feed that information into you in a timely enough manner that it could be incorporated into your planning cycle.
Oh, that's a great idea because, and through the chair, my apologies,
No
Counselor, that yes, very often you are developing a tourism product that we would want to promote, or that there's things happening in your BIA that would be great content for us that we're sometimes just not aware of. So there is a partners page on the Tourism Hamilton website that lists various ways on how to communicate with staff. I would suggest you go there, or pick up the phone and give me a call, or send me an email if you really can't figure out the best way to communicate with Tourism Hamilton, and I'm happy to forward information. But yeah, don't hesitate to be sharing information to us. And there's, I know on the website, there's a mechanism where you can upload photos. So yeah, curate your best, share them with us, and we will pick up what we can.
About being a part of the planning cycle, that if you guys know you're doing your editorial calendar in January for July, that we get an email that says, hey, what have you guys got coming up in the back half of the year? Because we might need the prompt too to remember that, and to make sure that it gets in time for you to incorporate it into yours. So absolutely, we take ownership of making sure that we're sharing that, but I'm just talking about a process that would allow us to meet your deadlines and would remind us to put the information in.
That's a very interesting idea, and perhaps Julia, it's one that we can talk about offline, and perhaps Julia can be the conduit for such information.
Yes, and through the chair, if I could jump in, I think that's a great idea. I'm taking a lot of notes. So Carrie, I'd like to connect with you and your team offline to start to flesh that out. Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you. Neat idea.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on. We want to thank you, Carrie, for coming. And I know your experience in tourism is well appreciated. So thank you very much for coming to this morning. We're going to move on. I don't see any more questions. So I need a mover and a seconder to approve.
So moved by Jennifer, seconded by Rachel.
Okay, and I don't see anybody opposing that, so it's passed. And thank you again, Carrie.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. 9.2, Digital Main Street Program Update. We want to invite Keith Russell and officer for Hamilton Business Center, and Danielle Fenton, the Digital Main Street Coordinator with the Hamilton Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, and thank you for coming.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. So today I just wanted to kind of give you guys a quick update of what's happening and what's still available for your businesses. As you know, there's no more grants currently available. Hopefully in the near future, there will be more money and there will be a Digital Main Street 3.0 rolling out, but that's still undefined. So, but really what I wanted to talk about today is that the Digital Service Squad, which is myself and Danielle from the Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, is still actively available for any of your businesses, regardless of whatever it is that they'd like to talk about or require assistance with. So by all means, they can book time with us. They can do that via email. We do have a calendar set up on the Hamilton Business website that they can pick a time and a day that works best for them to meet with us for a one-on-one consultation. Of course, no fees whatsoever. But in doing so, me and Danielle wanted to kind of take a little bit of a not so much different approach, but just kind of have some flagship, I guess, things that we can do with the business owners to really give them some actionable items that they can take away after they have a meeting with us. So the two things that we've kind of developed is, one is a 16-point digital or content. Sorry, I'm confusing the two. They're very, very similar. A digital audit of your social media channels. So we're focusing on Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to let Danielle kind of dig into that a little bit deeper. And then we have a new tool called a content marketing strategy. And these are sessions that we want to sit down with the businesses and dig really deep into their products and services and the desires of their customers, their target market. But I'm going to jump it over to Danielle so she can talk a little bit about the audits and how that can benefit your businesses. And then I'll kind of get into the content strategy generator.
Thanks, Keith. Hi, everyone. Good morning. So yeah, in addition to the digital service squad support, we are offering that 16-point digital audit. So the whole point of this is to do a deep dive into businesses' Facebook and Instagram and provide them with actionable advice and resources. So we're going to evaluate their social media presence now. Help owners uncover new opportunities to grow their business. What they do to sign up is simply just email us at digitalmeanstreet@hamilton.ca. And what we do the rest of the work. They email us their social media channels. And then we just kind of evaluate what they're doing right, what's working, what's not. And then we provide them with essentially a checklist with resources of how they can implement certain tools to improve their online presence. And if they do have any trouble with implementing some of these tools, by all means, we are willing to walk them through the entire process. But we've had great response so far from this. We've been promoting on social media and slowly going through all of our DMS contacts through HubSpot and sending them an email marketing campaign. So we're doing about 200 at a time. So if businesses haven't heard about it yet, we will eventually get to them. But we really encourage you guys to promote this, share our social media posts. But yeah, that's basically it. They don't have to do anything besides send us their social media channels. And then we should have something with them, to them, in 3 to 5 business days. So yeah, I'll toss it back over to Keith so he can go into the other digital marketing strategy.
Yeah, good point, Danielle, about us just kind of setting out that messaging in little bits, only because there's just us, and really, we don't want to take on a whole bunch of work and overpromise and underdeliver. So we're kind of rolling it out slowly because we are having a fairly good response to it, and so we want to be able to do those in a timely manner, for the business and not make them wait, too long for it. It takes about anywhere between 1 and 3 hours to work through these audits. We're not just, at a surface level glancing over their profiles. We're really taking the time to read through their posts, how often they're posting, what type of content they're posting, looking at all the individual details of the profile. Are they set up correctly? Are they taking advantage of all of the options that are available to them? Now, in respect to the content generator, this is a very unique approach. In talking to a lot of businesses, I find a lot of them don't necessarily have a documented strategy when it comes to marketing. Many of them do, but many of them do not. And the importance of having a documented strategy is very important, obviously, so you can go back to see what you've planned on doing and what's working and what's not. So the content strategy session or generator, basically what it is they're an in-depth session where the business owner books a time with me or Danielle. Generally, we're going to break this up into 2 sessions because it's hard to predict how long these sessions can take. There's quite a few questions. So how it works, I guess, is the business owner books a time. They sit down and we work through about 100 questions. And these are very, very in-depth sessions where we talk about their target market. What is their target market's desires? How does what they sell or the service they provide, how does it meet the desires of their customers? And then what happens is at the end of these questions, we take what they, the business owner, have told us about their business, and it gets inputted into this matrix that we have, and it creates these content pillars. So we're not providing the business owner with a schedule of what to post and when to post it. We're simply giving them and clarifying the ideas and the thoughts that they have about their business already in their head into these pillars that we can, or they can, write about months and years to come. And these pillars are valid forever unless their business changes or their model changes. Then of course we can reevaluate and do this all over again. But the results so far have been fantastic, and these pillars are also tied back to the traditional sales funnel. Many business owners don't realize that we can't just be talking about our product. Like, here's a sale, come and buy from us. People work through a different journey. We all do it when we buy a product or service. We first need to be aware of it. We need to know the benefits of it. Then we need to consider it. We need to purchase it. But at each one of those phases, we need to approach marketing in a different way to facilitate that journey. So that's what this session does for the business owner. And of course, at the end, they get these pillars that kind of looks like a calendar, but it's really not. You kind of have to see it. I know it's kind of hard to visualize. But the results so far have been fantastic, and business owners are really finding value in it. So at the end of the day, I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that we're still here for you guys. And on a side note, in terms of, we were just looking at the presentation from Tourism Hamilton, which was fabulous. Those community guides, from just the screenshot that I saw, are really easy to implement, and I'm more than happy to show any of you how to do that on your own if you'd like.
All right.
That's all I got.
Just
Great.
one last thing, Keith. Sorry, I just wanted to make
Sure.
mention of our digital resource hub as well. So this is a
good point.
Incredible resource. There's over 100 digital resources from all around the web that me and Keith kind of gathered together based on what we were thinking were best useful tools for business owners. So I'll link that in the chat, but this is a fantastic resource that you can share with businesses within your BIA. So yeah, that's all I got. And I'll leave that in the chat right now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Keith. I just want to know, is it Keith or Kristen? Oh, yeah.
Well, it took me a minute this morning. I thought Kristen.
Yeah, that's good.
And then I realized it was me that had Kristen on it. So.
Right. All right. Thank you. Is there any questions?
So through the chair, it looks like Susan and Christina both have questions.
Great. Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Keith and Danielle. I have 3-point questions quickly.
Sure. Yeah.
Are these sessions available for you guys to do some audits of our own, of the BIA's social media?
Absolutely. We are going through the process right now of using it at the Hamilton ourselves, because again, we often think we know what people want, or we often think we know what people want to hear about, but it's not until you really sit down and start working through some of these difficult questions where, like, honestly, I'm surprised at the end of the day some of the results that are coming out of our generator. It's just wonderful. So by all means, if any one of you want to sit down, shoot me an email. We'll book a time. We'll spend an hour. We'll go through it, and then you can be the judge. But it's pretty great, to be honest.
Perfect. That's, we've been talking about trying to evaluate our own, but we're always sort of just running forward, and we don't often have the time to look back and to do that. So how long is the service squad funded for? You talk about rolling out some of these in smaller increments to be able to make sure that we can get to everybody. How long is this going to be available?
At least until the end of June.
Okay.
And so in terms, I mean, our contact list is not overly massive. We're talking a few thousand people that we have available, that we've dealt with in the past. And so that was just a judgment call on us, because we realized, we had an initial push from it making into like the Innovation Factory newsletter, the Hamilton Chamber of Commerce newsletter, our own newsletter. And so, the initial push was, wow, we were going to hope to do a whole bunch of these in one day, but we realized it was taking us a lot longer. So then we thought, okay, we need to roll this out a little bit slower. I think we're probably already halfway through that list of the initial businesses, just to let them know. Because again, we're not always on social media at the same time, so not everybody's seeing our messaging. So I anticipate within the next week and a half, all of the businesses that we've dealt with in the past will know about this service. And again, it's just unique to us.
Yeah, and the reason is I don't think that Waterdown had a huge uptake of the Digital Main Streets program with respect to the grants, but this is a service that I think might be more useful to them and that they might want to take advantage of, even if they weren't in contact with you in the past. So
Yeah.
if you know it's in place till June, and do you have any graphics that we could share or a little blurb of information so that if you're wanting us to help promote this to our members, it will be just a really easy lift to put into our newsletters or to our social media directly to our members?
100%. The second I'm off this call, I will draft up something for all of you and provide all of the social media graphics that I have ready. That's not an issue at all. And I'd be very, very grateful if you could spread that to all of your members. We're here to help. Oftentimes, I feel like we talk about marketing a lot, and I know it's not necessarily on a high priority right now with most businesses, but business is still going, and we still need to let people know that we're out there and that we're doing business. So yeah, by all means.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you, Susan. I think Christina is next. I think she had the same question. But
I did actually. So yeah, Keith, Danielle, thank you very much. I think this is fantastic. And yeah, my question was specifically for the digital audit and just a communication that we can share with our membership. So I will be sharing whatever you guys send us, and I will be taking you guys up on your digital audit for sure.
Amazing. I will push that messaging out through Julia today, if that's okay.
Perfect.
And she'll forward it out to everybody. And then if you have questions, bespoke questions, just follow up with me directly and we'll get them straightened out.
Thank you.
all right, thank you very much. And we're going to move on. I don't see any other questions. Thank you, Keith, again, and Daniela. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We need a mover and a seconder, please, to approve the stuff.
By Christina, seconded by Emily.
Okay, thank you. And nobody opposes it. And so it's passed, and we're going to move on. Discussion item, Ontario Business Improvement Area Association Conference. Carrie, would you like to provide the update discussion, please?
And through the chair, Carrie had to leave, so I'm not sure if Julia, you want to do that?
Okay, Julia.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Counselor. To the group, and I would ask in this update, anybody who is on the conference committee, so I think maybe Rachel and Tracy, you might be. If I've missed anything, please jump in. But things are going fast and furious for the conference, which is at the end of September. A reminder that there are the OBIA virtual professional development series that's starting at the end of April. So there's 4 sessions coming up that look fantastic. Normally the conference itself is in April, but we've pushed it to September. And so those professional development pieces are available. And there's some really great topics that are really relevant to what we're going through right now and really helping to pivot and support your memberships. As for the conference in September, we've just scheduled a host committee meeting for this Thursday to talk about the Sunday evening dinners, the possibilities for mobile tours, and some of the other initiatives and plans that are happening for the conference. So we've been very focused on the professional development, but we'll have a much more robust update at the May meeting. So we'll be connecting with all of you about the opportunities for mobile tours and how to leverage your areas. A reminder that you must be a member of OBIA to participate in the conference. So if anybody has any questions about that, you can reach out to me and I'll connect you with the OBIA team. But things are going fast and furious. Again, the conference is going to be a hybrid model. So either you can attend in person or virtually. And so we're really working towards that hybrid model and accommodating anybody who wants to participate. So that's my high level update. I don't know if anyone else on the conference committee has anything to add to that, but we will have a lot more information come May, and everybody please watch your emails in the coming weeks for updates on the mobile tours and how you can really start to participate as we get into the warmer weather.
Okay, thank you, Julia, for your input there. And I will need a mover and a seconder to receive that information. Discussion item.
Moved by Jennifer,
Jennifer.
seconded by Emily.
Okay, and it's carried, and I don't see anybody opposing it. So let's move on to 13, general information. And Julia Davis again, verbal update.
Hi, everyone. Again,
Hi.
thank you, counselor. So very, very quickly, just some key initiatives and things we've been talking about, but I do want to pass out some reminders. So a reminder again that each BIA in 2021 has been allocated $10,000 in funding from council, and this came out of the Mayor's Task Force on Economic Recovery. A few of you, we've discussed it, we've talked about your proposals, but a reminder that let's have a discussion, or please get me some sort of written proposal no later than June 30th. The funding does have to be used in 2021. So we just want to make sure that folks, you have enough time to get your plans ready to go, implement them, execute them, and we'll pivot as we need to. This is for programming and initiatives. So if you have any ideas or you have anything you need enhanced, this is a great opportunity for that funding. So just a reminder to get me your proposals. And if you want to have a conversation, I'm always available. Please give me a call or shoot me an email to schedule something and we can chat about it. As well, the outdoor dining district program, obviously we are in shutdown at this time and outdoor dining is not permitted. However, applications are still open and we are still accepting applications. We are putting them through our review process so that we can at least have approvals or comments in place to these restaurants so that once the restrictions are lifted, they can resume operations with little to no interruption in their approval timelines. The outdoor dining, so the private property stream and the municipal property stream will remain open throughout the whole season. Right now, council has approved the program through October 31st. And so if folks decide in the middle of July or August that they wanted to put something up, we absolutely will be accepting applications through that time. The on-street patio program, so the structures on the street, applications will be available only until June 1st. So if you have anyone of your members who would like to apply for the on-street structures, we're asking for those to come in before June 1st. So just wanted to make sure that that was very clear. We've had an unbelievable amount of folks apply for the on-street patios this year. I would say probably 30% of our applicants in the on-street patio program are brand new and have never had an on-street structure before. And overall, of our applications, we've received about 130 across all three streams of the program. 25% are new applicants who have never participated before. So that's really good news. And we're continuing to see applications come in every day still. So, so that's that program. I just want to remind you, we are still accepting applications. If it's okay with you, Counselor, I see Susie's hand is up for a question.
Well, thank you, Julia, for the update. And any questions? Yes, Susie.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, just if I don't think about it. One of the things I'm hearing from my members is that they're required to have a $5 million insurance policy. Burlington just amended that to $2 million, which makes a huge difference in what they're paying. So I'm wondering if there's any discussion of that with Hamilton, because right now these restaurants need all the help that they can get, and any sort of overhead costs that we can try to decrease for them, I think is important for us to investigate.
And I appreciate that question. We've connected with our risk management team, so we were aware that Burlington had lowered their allocation to 2 million. We've always required the 5 million for any encroachment. And so the way that the programs have been approved through council, we've always stated the 5 million commercial general liability is a requirement. However, we have asked staff to look at that internally to see if there's anything that we can do, or what are the details of that, so that we can at least share that with the restaurant community. So I appreciate you letting me know about that, and providing the feedback from your restaurants. Everybody around this table, if your members have feedback, please share it. We have connected for consideration so that staff can investigate what happened in Burlington, how they made that decision, and if there's any changes to be made in Hamilton.
Just think right now, given that it's COVID, I really feel like this is something the city should do if Burlington's doing it. I would appreciate it.
Thank you for those comments. Absolutely.
Julia, talking about the insurance, isn't it their own provider? I know our city has this, but it's their own provider that could accept that. And I don't think price-wise, would it be a lot more because of that? It's totally different insurance companies. I know that because I used to be in insurance.
I'm not quite sure the process. This did get flagged a couple of weeks ago, so staff are working and reviewing reviewing it. So I definitely am not an expert on that, but I want to let you guys know that we are looking at that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any other question. We thank you, Julia, for the update. I need a mover and a seconder to approve it. And we'll move on.
Moved by Susie, seconded by Rachel.
Great, thank you. And I don't see anybody opposing it, so it passes, and we're going to move on. And we're at 13.2, statements of members. Get all happy about it. You got lots of things going on. So anyways, we're going to start with Ancaster. BIA, Jennifer.
Hi there, good morning. Yes, lots going on, but I feel it's all in the planning stages, planning for plan A, plan B, plan C, depending on when we can launch everything. We've been busy working on the market and getting that in order. I'd love to hear some of the other initiatives, just to see what other ideas everyone else has going on, but really just preparing and trying to help everyone navigate through what this last lockdown is impacting on.
Thank you, Jennifer. We're going to go to Barton, BIA, Rachel.
Hi, everyone. Yep, same here. Lots of planning and replanning and figuring out what we're doing. We're hoping to actually close Barton Street for 3 Saturdays this late summer, just because a lot of our businesses aren't able to do on-street patios because our street is so busy. So our hope is that we can support them in that way and do more outdoor dining areas and really basically just open the street. So it's going to be a bit empty, but it's a way to support our businesses that we are hoping we can do. I did have one kind of question for the group. I don't know if this is the right avenue, but we're hearing from some of our members, especially the restaurants where there's lineups for curbside pickup, issues around smoking and people smoking in lines, or people, you know, standing too close to the doors or where they order smoking. And right now, I don't think there's a bylaw that prohibits that. So it's just a bit of a challenge that some of our members are facing and didn't know if anybody else was.
Very interesting. All right, thank you for that, Rachel. We're going to go to concession. Christina.
Sorry, I'm just unmuting myself. We are ready to launch our Sidewalk Sounds again this year, virtually Sidewalk Sounds. So our first musical performances will go in May. We've got in May lined up Logan Stats, which we're super excited about, and Hey She the Mouthpiece. So we've really diversified the kind of music and entertainment that we're going to have this summer. We're also going to have streamed performances of Hamilton dance companies. So it's really going to mix up the kind of entertainment that we're going to have. So we're super excited about that. We've also collaborated with Hometown Hub with that. And last year's music performances are going to be housed are going to be housed on a page in Hometown Hub dedicated to Sidewalk Sounds. And this year's performances, as they're streamed, will be housed as there as well, because not everyone has social media. So that'll be an opportunity to open that up broader than the viewership that we had last year. We wrapped up our Easter bunny hop coloring contest. We had over 100 entries. So originally I had hoped to make everybody a winner, but we don't have the funds for that. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to make the tough decision on picking some winners. But that was really successful. So we're happy to see that. Fishing Sushi at 542 Concession Street is now open. I had it this weekend. It's sensational. So we're super excited to have that open. Heel is opening up a vegetarian burger joint right next door to their Heel smoothie establishment. They're hoping to have that open for May. So next month, all things considered, let's see how it goes with COVID. And as well, Dirty South is opening up a rooftop patio. So it'll provide them a little bit, when they're allowed to, a little bit more flexibility with outdoor seating, and a really cool venue. They're doing a really cool job with that. Focusing on what I can, we've got our summer banners out. Our gateway tulips that we planted last year are coming in hot. And we're right now in the middle of a CHCH commercial campaign. First, it's shop local, because all of our retailers are open, not for in-person shopping, but for curbside pickup and online. You can call the stores as well. And as well, our restaurants are all open for takeout and curbside pickup. So we're going to try and give them an extra boost for the next couple weeks on CHCH. And that's about it. And then just a lot of other stuff, but high-level update.
Thank you. Thank you, Christina. We're going to go to Carrie, downtown, BIA, please.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Carrie had to go to
right.
leave for another meeting.
Thank you. How about Dundas, Lisa?
And Lisa is away this morning as well.
Right, okay. Okay, International Village, Susie.
Okay, so we have our Spring Up in the Village contest running again this year. So we're doing a $1,000 giveaway for the month of April and May. So anybody who purchases anything over $10 before tax sends in a copy of their receipt to us, and they're entered into the draw. So we've done this a few times over COVID, and it has a really great response. We are unveiling our new rebrand May 1st, which wasn't really, timing-wise, not great with the shutdown, but we're going to go ahead with new banners up at least. And then once everybody's back to retail, we'll be doing something around that as well. We apparently have a new little shop opening up that's a bit of an art market. I don't have too much details on that. And we're busy working on a project that we'll be unveiling later this year. I did have a question for Julia that I think is really important. I just wondered if I could get on to the minutes. I have a few businesses that are solo workers in my BIA. And because we're in a hot spot right now, I'm wondering if there's any discussion. I'm wondering if you could have this on the record or share with public health that because they're not able to get vaccinated, their businesses are struggling. So they're not able to hire new staff because they're afraid to do so because of COVID. And because they are in a hot spot, I think it's important that the workplaces are also included in that. It's not just 50 and up. I know they're talking about making it 18 and up, but there's been no discussion, for what I can find anyways, on actual businesses being vaccinated within the hot spots. I think this is a really important thing that we need to be tackling from this table. So I'm just wondering if, Julia, you could pass that along to public health and ask for them to provide an update, because as this goes on, these business owners are struggling and their businesses are suffering because of it. So I think it's really important that we get on top of this ASAP.
Yes, and through the chair, absolutely. Please leave that with me. I will reach out to public health and provide an update back to this committee as soon as I possibly can.
I mean, the one that I'm speaking of, just so you know, is an essential worker. So she does sell grocery products within her. So she is open, but she's struggling because she can't hire staff, or she doesn't want to because she's afraid to. It's a pretty dire situation for them, the ones that I've spoken to. So again, being in a hotspot, I think the city really needs to make this a priority if possible.
I will definitely pass it along. Thank you.
Okay, and that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Susie. Michael's not here, so we're going to go to Lock Street. Heidi.
Hi, everyone. Rachel, I'll just say we had the same issue with smoking on the line, and I did some research, and I'm like, I don't think there's any authority we have to stop people from smoking, and I also think we're just in this mode of I don't want to police people anyway. It's very challenging already to police people to wear a mask in line. I hate it. I wish people would just read a sign and say, "Oh, it's required here too," and just do it. So I've said, don't let the people around them tell them not to smoke, just like we kind of do in public parks and things like that. Lock Street. We had a few businesses come and go. We had Green Bar leave, and Maddie's Chicken and the Pizza Place come into Lock Street. So that's exciting. We are doing new banners this year because ours are sepia toned and you can't tell that they're up at all. And we are doing some street level planters and partnering with our local Kirkendall Gardening Club and some Kirkendall volunteers to keep us watered and have more beautification on our street that way. We are working on closing Lock Street and surveying our members again. It looks like it will be Saturdays again for most of Lock Street, and we're looking at purchasing more infrastructure items for community dining and staffing that as well. And there's a lot of people just really excited about that. Our members really excited about that. Some are just like, can we do it every weekend, all the time, all year round? And no, but the summer sounds like a plan, and I find it very difficult to plan for something like this when we're in a shutdown. It just feels really out of touch. It feels, will I have to cancel this? But the nice thing about a street closure is that, yeah, we can just say, okay, we won't do it this week. We'll start it on a certain date. It's a little easier than a massive festival with one date. And I was wondering, just a show of hands, we get a lot of people in our neighborhood groups, saying, "Oh, I really want this type of business," or, "Oh no, that pizza restaurant is a chain and they're moving on Law Street," and people getting very particular about what they think should happen and questioning what the BIA does. And just by a show of hands, how many people actively recruit particular businesses based on neighborhood or community desire, wants, or other member wants? Like, do you have discussions around the table with your members saying, what do we have, what are we missing, and how do we actively recruit that business? Susie? Yeah? Tracy?
Yeah, can I just say something quick?
Sure. Go ahead, Susie.
We do make up a wish list. Once every couple years, we'll do that, and we'll make a wish list of the businesses we'd like to see in the area that might be missing. And then we usually send that in, we would send that into the Business Enterprise Center so that anybody coming there would know, oh, well, this neighborhood's looking for a cheese shop, so you should go and talk to the BIA there. We've done that for years and years and years, and it's been hit or miss, but I think it's good at least that way to put it out there.
Yeah.
And I find it a good sort of brainstorming session with the board too, to get them thinking about what the future looks like. So I would encourage it. I've done that from day one, and it also sort of engages them. So yeah, I would say it's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I've thought about it. I know that working with our neighborhood would be different than working with our members and saying, what are we missing that could bring more diversity to the street? Because when we have greater diversity, you have many different types of people coming to your neighborhood and coming for one thing and staying for another, right?
I think it's something you could just do at the board level and just leave it at that. Yeah.
I think that's where I'll start for sure. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Heidi.
Yeah, that's it.
Good. Thank you. I guess Bender's not here, so we're going to go to Ottawa Street. Emily.
Good morning, everyone. You'll have to excuse my cubicle mate. He hasn't quite figured out proper office behavior, so you might get a little loud. So we have curbside grill has moved from Ottawa Street to King Street. And we've actually already been able to fill the space, which is great. I'm not remembering the restaurant group name, but it's the same group as the Salted Pig and a bunch of those restaurants. They're opening like a ice cream parlor, comfort food type place. Apparently it's going to be all pink. So that should be interesting. We also have Denver Market is opening a location on Ottawa Street. We've seen kind of a whole mix of activity. We're not totally sure when they're opening yet, but the building that they're in used to be our office building, and we know it requires a lot of work, so hopefully they'll be able to get through all that. And then we also have a sandwich place opening. The Argyle is also a like golf simulator bar location, which is looking pretty amazing. It's basically like a bar in the front, and it like you walk in and immediately you want to order a glass of scotch is kind of how the decor makes you feel. So it's like very cool and old school style. And then at the back is a golf simulator. So he's hoping that he can be open once restrictions lift. And then we also have a new business. There's a lot of stories and theories about what it's going to be. It's this used to be a big fitness store on Ottawa Street. It's like huge storefront. So apparently it's going to be a dance studio, coffee shop, and art studio are the front runners of what it's going to be. So no one's been able to touch base with the owners, so it's kind of a little bit of a mystery currently. But we've got quite a few new businesses coming to the street, which is really cool to see. And then during the stay-at-home order, we're going to try to do Instagram takeovers, just since people can't have people inside their businesses, inviting our viewers into their businesses and doing as many takeovers as we can, just to showcase the businesses that would like to participate. But other than that, as with everybody else, we're just kind of holding our breath and waiting to see what May will be looking like. Our next event isn't until Canada Day, so thankfully we don't have to pivot anything immediately. And our bunny hop, we also had our bunny hop event over Easter, and that was pretty successful as well. We were able to give a prize to every family that participated, which is nice because it was a bit of a slow start, and then a bunch of families participated. So that was just nice to see some kids participate and get excited about winning a bunch of candy. So that was really fun. But that's it on our end.
Thank you, Emily. We're going to go to water now. Susan.
Thank you. So we focused mostly on our marketing efforts this year and events that we know we can do regardless of where we are in the lockdown. So we're still pivoting, of course, but less so because we're putting a lot of our eggs into things that can happen regardless, which the bunny hunt we just wrapped up, and that was fairly well received because it was able to be done outdoors and still drove foot traffic to our BIA. We have new banners that are going up hopefully by the summer. We did an artist call for submission, and we've got some fantastic pieces that I'm hoping the ones that we use for the banners, and then I'm hoping to apply for the Healthy Community Grant, the federal grant, and maybe do a broader mural project with reproducing some of the art submissions that we got in for our banners. So I'm really excited to get some art coming to Waterdown. It's been a long time coming. We're undergoing a bit of a brand refresh. It's not a complete identity makeover. It's an evolution of our current logo, introducing some new colors and some changes to our word art and a little more contemporary look to our logo. So we're excited about that. That will launch this summer with the banners. We're in the process of the RFQ process for our website. We're going to be redeveloping our website this year. Like Ancaster, we're doing a lot of backflips for our farmers market, and just waiting to get a start date for that based on where we are with the opening, and we are looking to move it to a city facility. So the seat applications are on a bit of a hold right now for that, but we're ready to hit the ground running as soon as we get the go ahead. I've been doing a bit of tracking with our businesses to look at our hardest hit categories, and we're trying to figure out some programs that will support them specifically. We've got a lot of buy-in from our whole membership that all boats float. And if we can support those categories that have been most drastically hit in some way, that would be great. And just to give you guys an idea, I reached out to some of those businesses. Our fitness studios were closed 28 weeks in 50, how many weeks are there in a year? 52. So they were closed more than half of the year last year, mandated closures. And I'm tracking that for our personal care businesses and some of our dine-in restaurants. And I think we're going to be, even though we know they've been closed a lot, I think it's kind of shocking to realize how much in a given year they were actually closed. So we're trying to figure out some programs that will support them. We do have a new business that's set to open, SleepNet. It's on 35 Main Street North, and it's CPAP machines and that kind of thing. I just wanted to add to that wish list of businesses that Susie was talking about and Heidi asked about. I'm going to talk about this, and we have talked about this. Our biggest thing is that we don't seem to have a lot of control over that. The businesses that come in are very much directed by who the landlords and the property owners are, who they are willing to rent to, and what businesses are willing to pay the rents that are being asked locally. We've identified that, we've got a shrinking retail component in our membership, and that there's a lot of businesses that we know would be very complementary to the businesses that are here and would help us drive more traffic. But I think sort of that next step is figuring out how to not only identify those, but actually be able to have some influence on how we could actually get those in there. So it's a great point, Heidi. I just wish that we could do a better job of attracting and or encouraging our landlords to bring those businesses in. But to be honest, our landlords are going with the ones they know are going to pay the rent. And that's why we're now 66% services. Doctors, lawyers, healthcare. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan. We're going to go last but not least, Westville Village and Stony Creek. Tracy.
Thank you, Counselor. I'll just be brief. Both areas we're just trying to pivot and plan for sort of what we did last year, assuming it'll be much the same as last year, sort of our little mini events and so on. And we're focusing heavily on marketing to get us through this time right now. And we were really sad, but very thankful to Julia in Westdale when we had to pack up our patios, but luckily we were able to keep our tents up and kind of locked everything in, and knock on wood, everything is still there and no one has taken anything. So, and then, and then everybody's anxious to get them open. So we're just hoping that everybody's health is good and we can move forward. And then also in both areas, working on our local tourism packages that we do, like hiking and biking and walking and all that stuff that complements BIAs in our view. Thank you.
I know, Tracy, that the coffee shops there are really busy because all the runners go there and I see a lineup. So doing well. Thank you. All right. Now I need a mover and a seconder to receive the statement, and we'll move along.
Perfect. Moved by Heidi, seconded by Tracy.
Thank you. And it's carried. Nobody opposes. And we're going to adjourn. You have a great day today.
And
have a great day.
Moved by Susan, seconded by Tracy.
Good. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Nobody opposes? Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
Stay
you,
healthy.
Counselor. Thank you.